In this video, I'm about to tell you some bone-chilling tales that will make you think twice about swiping right on those dating apps. Picture this: you're scrolling through profiles, looking for the one that will sweep you off your feet and become the love of your life. What if the person you match with turns out to be someone entirely different than they presented themselves to be? What if they're not the charming, funny, and caring person they claim to be in their profile, but instead a deranged and dangerous individual who is capable of unspeakable acts? The truth is, dating apps can be a breeding ground for predators, and you never truly know who you're talking to until it's too late. Every year, countless people fall victim to catfishing, scams, and even violence at the hands of someone they met online. Let me start by saying that I am very much against dating apps, and it's mostly due to the harrowing experience I had with Tinder. Out of the 3 people I met outside of the app, the first 2 were nothing special. I wasn't infused by either of the girls, and there were no second dates. But the 3rd girl I met on Tinder was phenomenal, and thought that she was the one. The 3rd girl's name was Annette, and she had caught my eye with her mysterious profile. She had 4 photos on there, 3 of which were of her posing alone in what looked like her backyard. The 4th was in front of a pond. Looking back, it should have been a red flag for me, and I should have thought that why she was all alone in her pictures. I invited her over to my place. When she arrived, something seemed off about her from the get-go. Her answers were short, and her laugh was weird. But it was her eyes that really gave me the creeps. They were wide and unblinking, like she was staring straight through me. As we sat on my bed trying to make conversation, the awkward silences were deafening. I could feel her gaze burning into me as she sat there silently. Even the TV in the background couldn't break the tension. I tried to make the greeting not awkward, but her first impression was just strange, and I already knew that I was not going to vibe with this girl. I wanted her to leave ASAP, and I tried to think of a way to make her leave without being rude. I turned on the TV in the background as a filler, and pretended to be laughing at it because of the constant awkward silences. But she never wanted to do anything, and as I watched TV, she just stared at me the whole time. It was an uncomfortable situation, to say the least. Finally, I was able to end it by pretending I had to go to sleep early for work the next day. I breathed a sigh of relief when she left, but the nightmare wasn't over yet. Later that night, I received a barrage of text messages from her, demanding to know why I didn't want her to see me again. Her tone was angry and aggressive, and she texted me that she knows that I'm not going to sleep this early. I instantly blocked her, and about an hour later, I went to sleep. But in the middle of the night, because I'm a light sleeper, I got up. I turned on the red LED strip on my bedside to brighten up the room a bit, but something was off. I realised my phone was missing, and as someone who couldn't stand losing things, I went upstairs to grab the landline phone and dialed my number. To my surprise, the sound of my ringing phone was coming from the boiler room that was connected to my house. When I stepped inside, the vibration from the washing machine caught my attention. And there, inside the washing machine, was my phone. I couldn't believe it. I had no recollection of even entering the room, let alone doing laundry. The strangeness didn't end there. As I checked my phone, I saw messages from a random number. When I opened them, my heart sank. There were 2 pictures of me sleeping, and the text read, "Good job blocking me, and shut the door next time." It all clicked then. I'd been so eager to get that strange girl out of my room that I'd forgotten to close the door behind her. And now, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone in the room. I felt like another presence was with me, and I couldn't help but wonder if this girl was hiding in the darkest corner of the room, behind the cylinder boiler. Without wasting a single moment, I made my way upstairs to find my parents and call the police. It was easy to track the girl down with the fingerprints she left behind, and she was charged with 1 count of trespassing and 1 count of stalking. I got a restraining order against her, and I never heard from her again. But the horror of that night stayed with me for a long time, and it made me realize just how dangerous and unpredictable dating apps can be. You never know who you might be inviting into your life, and sometimes it's best to trust your instincts and stay away from these digital matchmakers. I thought I'd finally hit the jackpot with online dating. After countless attempts and failed matches in all the major dating apps, I was desperate for a breakthrough. That's when my friend told me about this new app called AdPod that was apparently a game changer. Despite my skepticism, I decided to give it a shot. At first I wasn't having much luck. Sure, I was getting more likes. They were all from girls that didn't really catch my eye. That is, until I stumbled upon Julia. She was a cute blonde girl with a smile that could lighten up a room. Our conversation went smoothly, and we quickly moved to Snapchat. I asked for her number, but she insisted we chat on the app instead. I didn't think much of it, and added her on Snap. But then things started to get strange. I became paranoid that she might be a catfish, so I asked her to take a selfie just for my safety. To my surprise, she opened the message right away and sent me a snapshot of herself. I still wasn't convinced, so I asked her to give me a thumbs up or a peace sign in the chat. She complied and we continued texting. Before I knew it, we made plans to meet up. Julia invited me to her house on the other side of town, and I eagerly accepted. She gave me her exact address, which I checked against her instant map to make sure it matched up. Everything seemed legit, so I changed into my best clothes, spritzed on some cologne, and headed out. As I pulled up to her supposed address, I noticed that the grass was overgrown, and there were no cars in the driveway. I rang the doorbell, but no one answered. I tried calling her, but it just kept ringing. Frustrated and confused, I started playing music loudly to get her attention. That's when I heard a woman's voice, shouting at me from across the street. I assumed it was Julia at first, but as I got closer, I realized it was an older woman yelling at me. She asked what I was doing, and I explained that I was there to see Julia. That's when she dropped a bombshell. No one had lived at that house for years. My heart sank as I realized I'd been duped. I tried messaging Julia one last time, but she'd blocked me. I felt foolish for falling for such an elaborate scam. When I got home, I shared screenshots with my friends, hoping that they could help me figure out what had happened. Then one of my friends, Darren, told me that the girl in the photos was actually Lisa, a girl who had overdosed on heroin 2 years ago. I couldn't believe it. How could I have been so blind? The snapshot I received were of a girl who completely matched Lisa's description. I shuddered at the thought of what could have happened if I'd gone into that house. It was a truly horrifying experience, and I vowed to never trust online dating ever again.
Story 3. In 2011, the world was a very different place. Social media was just starting to take off, and dating apps were not nearly as popular or mainstream as they are today. There were still a few dating apps available, one of them being Plenty of Fish. I had recently gotten out of a very difficult relationship and was feeling down in the dumps. My friends encouraged me to try dating again, so they reluctantly made me a profile on Plenty of Fish. I was surprised by the amount of attention I received in the first few hours. Most of the messages were just people saying hello or asking for a connection. And I wasn't really looking for a hookup, so I ignored most of them. After about a week, a guy about an hour away from me messaged me. He was cute, so I decided to message him back. The conversation was casual at first, and eventually, he asked if I would like to go out for a drink or coffee at some point. Not really thinking about anything, I said sure. This is where things started to get weird. The guy started to be very pushy and asked when we could have the coffee. I told him that I don't have my own car and would have to borrow my mom's car to meet up with him. He offered to come get me, but I wasn't very comfortable with that idea. The next message made my blood run cold. It read, "I'm sure your hometown isn't that big. If I knocked on a few doors, someone could tell me where you lived." To which I replied, "You're crazy. Sorry, but that's a little creepy." This really annoyed him, and he texted me multiple times after that, saying things like, "They said I can make you disappear, and no one would look for you. You're just a slut, and I could throw you away in a well and no one will find you." I was really scared at this point, so I asked him to please leave me alone. He didn't reply for a few minutes, but then he sent another message that read, "I know where your hometown is. It's not a big city. I can find you right now." That was the last straw, and I blocked him. I instantly reported his account to Plenty of Fish and deleted my own account. For the next few weeks, I was nervous. I couldn't shake the feeling that the guy might come looking for me. I was constantly looking over my shoulder and feeling paranoid. Eventually, they decided to move to another country where I didn't really know anyone. It was a drastic step to take, but I just didn't feel safe in their hometown anymore. Looking back on it now, I realized just how lucky I was to get out of that situation unscathed. I shudder to think about what might have happened if I had agreed to meet up with that guy in person. Thank you for watching. But be careful. You never know who's watching you.